Welcome to ROQ Shop Talk. Our show talks about best practices, fun anecdotes, and the latest cutting-edge technology in our field to kick your screen printing gears into hyperdrive. Today's episode features the Lotus Holland screen reclaim machine, and we're joined by our special guest, Brett Bowden from Printed Threads, Ryan Moor of Ryonet,
and Justin Lawrence, yours truly, of Oklahoma Shirt Company. We're stoked that ROQ US Tour Bus is quickly getting ready for our first US tour. To follow the tour and even reserve a visit when we come through your town, follow hashtag ROQUSTour. That's ROQ US Tour on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be right back.
All right. Hi. I want to welcome everyone to ROQ Shop Talk. I'm Ross Hunter. Alongside of me here, I've got Merrill Capps, our creative director, and Thomas Shaw from our sales department. Today, we're going to focus on the Lotus Holland machine. We've got a couple of awesome partners with us, Brett Bowden from Printed Threads, Justin Lawrence from Oklahoma Shirt Company in the house to represent. So we're going to go through how the Lotus has changed their business operations, some cool tips, tricks, what it's done for them, and just kind of explore the product. So good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good to see you, Ross, Ryan, Brett.
We also have Mr. Ryan Moore up at Ryonet headquarters here to chime in as well, help bring the Lotus Holland to the United States market. So we have some cool stories there as well. So I want to start out and just kind of, ask you guys a brief overview of what the machine does. What's the concept? Just very basic. What has it done for you? What does it do? Why is it helpful? Kick it over to Brett.
Basically it's a car wash for screens. So you can't drive a car through it, but you can put a screen through it. And when it comes out the other side, it's pretty clean.
What were you doing before you had it?
Before we had the Lotus, we had two people reclaiming screens all day.
With like 4 sets of chemicals and 4 different scrub brushes and a big washout sink and
we had a couple washout booths, and then everybody would be wearing like they would look like they're making meth, except for they're just cleaning screens. And reclaim's like the part of this that's not necessarily fun, and so that was a not fun job. And I was just excited about having some sort of way to make that job slightly more desirable and be a lot more efficient. So
awesome. And before you guys got into the automated solution here, about how many screens were you reclaiming a day? You said you had 2 people. I know you're a busy shop. You've got 4 autos. So what were you guys doing on a daily basis by hand?
I think somewhere around 100 something. So, and that everybody, you can go on like a Facebook group where all the smartest screen printers hang out and say like, I can reclaim by hand 4,000 screens in an hour because I'm the best screen printer on earth. But
that's only Lon Winters.
Lon probably could because he is the best.
Not good, he can.
But in reality, when you hire someone and pay them $10 an hour to clean screens or whatever, they're not working that fast. They are doing like 10 screens an hour or something. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And Justin, have you kind of done the same transition then with yours? You guys were cleaning manually before you went auto, or did you have another solution in place?
Yeah, so the Lotus Holland actually ended up saving us a boat whack of money. We were taking our screens and just throwing them in the trash when we were done with them.
Oh my gosh. In the trash, kidding. You weren't even recycling the aluminum, just like gone.
No, we were cleaning them by hand. And the same as what Brett said, we had someone that we pay $10 an hour and they would stand here all day and do what I consider, besides owning a screen printing company, that's the worst. The thing right above that is reclaiming screens all day long. And so that Yeah, and I was heartbroken because it was awful. Like, nobody wants to do it. It's terrible. It's traditionally a high turnover position. I don't care how rich or good your culture is. There's no way about it. That job sucks. And it's part of every shop story, big or small. You know, everyone does it at some point. And some people do it, you know, their whole life cycle of their business. And but yeah, it's no bueno.
That's crazy. So I know, Brett, you kind of were a big proponent, helping, and you and Ryan can speak of this, about bringing Lotus into the US and kind of spearheading that movement, I guess. Can you speak to that a little bit and how that came to be?
Yeah, Brett, when you introduced Lotus to me, how did you find it? Why that machine? I mean, you're a pretty smart guy and do a lot of research and well connected. So, I mean, how did you end up on this? And then why did you decide to introduce it to me?
I think in 2014, we went to the SGIA Expo, and I think that year was in Atlanta or Vegas. I don't remember. It was in one of those two places. And we had gone out there and just kind of walking the show floor. Obviously, you know, some of those trade shows, specifically SGI Expo or Printing United now, is so big and just a massive trade show floor. So it's kind of hard to find something that excites you because it's overwhelming. But I remember walking past this machine and just looking at how like clean and sleek it looked and simple. It's a really simple machine, and thinking about like the process of cleaning screens and how like it's dirty, it's messy. You really want a machine that's as simple as possible so that, you know, ink's not causing some mechanical failure or something down the road. So I had seen the machine and talked to friends who's the creator of the machine and owner of Lotus Holland, and just talked about the machine, really liked it. Didn't purchase it at that show just because we didn't have the money, but it really sparked my thought flow on, man, it would be really great to have some sort of better solution for reclaim. And then I started just thinking about it a lot, thinking of the ROI of that, doing the math in my head. And I think later in that year or the next year when Friends was coming back, because this machine is made in Holland, Friends was coming back and was bringing a machine to show at SGIA Expo, and just hit me up and said, hey, I'm bringing this machine. If you're interested in buying it, I'll give you a great deal. And so I was like, well, I'll figure it out. So at the time we were looking at potentially automating reclaim with a reclaim machine that would be like, you basically put your screen in a dip tank and then you pick it up and then you put it into a machine that pressure washes. And that machine was a little bit less expensive, but it's not an inline solution. Like, you're having to touch the screen more times. And if you've studied lean manufacturing at all, like, this is a way more lean style machine. So it just made a lot more sense to me. And I said, all right, I'll figure out how to pay X amount of dollars for this machine. And at the show, I was just super excited and pumped up about it. And I think it was at that show that I grabbed Ryan and said, hey, come look at this machine, and had him look at it. And he was able to kind of look at the simplicity of the machine. And Ryonet was offering ROQ presses at this time and selling a lot of automated equipment. So it just made sense for them to kind of come full circle with their family and have more automated equipment available. And I thought this had a cool, sleek, almost kind of, you know, if you look at some machines and then you look at this machine, this is more of the Apple of reclaim machines. It's a nice, sleek design, you know, and I always kind of associate that Apple versus PC look. I kind of always think of the Apple of being a ROQ or Ryonet product.
Which one would you say is the Windows machine, Brett?
I'm not here to speak that kind of language.
I remember you like grabbing me on the aisle and taking me down to the machine and meeting friends, and not knowing really anything about the machine. All I knew about reclaiming machines is like I would always see them in outside of a shop, rusted and not in use, you know. And because it's their piece of equipment, so we never honestly sold them. We never wanted to sell them. We just prefer them to the manufacturers. And the thing that caught my eye that was different than this one is Friends was like, yeah, we can give you a 10-year warranty with it. I was like, 10 years? That's like, these things are in the scrap yard 3 years into it. I swear, all the time I see that. And so the confidence in that just really stuck out to me. And, you know, it was easy to plug into the ROQ model and the tech model that we have. So it's been, yeah, I really appreciate you introducing it to us. Thank you.
Yeah, that was, so I'm about to pay this machine off in a couple of months, and it was a 60-year note.
Congrats.
So we've had it for 5 years, and it still works every day and does exactly what we want it to.
And what kind of maintenance, I mean, are you having to do to kind of keep it going? I know, you know, we've got 3 chambers, and I don't know if you could maybe walk back there and point, but our first chamber, you know, is cleaning ink. You've got some sediment that goes down in the tank. Second chamber is doing your emulsion remover. Third chamber is power washing, you know, getting that mesh clean back up again. So what's your tip to, you know, keeping each of those chambers clean, so you don't have any of those sort of, you know, repair issues? You seem to do some really good routine maintenance on it.
There's really not a lot to do, to be honest. We keep, you know, you test your chemicals a couple times a week. Replace the filter once a week. You know, there's a couple of rubber bands that run on pulleys that move the pressure washer up and down. So you need to make sure those rubber bands stay clean. And every once in a while you have to retension them because they stretch out, and probably every 2 years you just replace them. There's some rubber flaps on the inside that have to be replaced probably once a year. But all those things are like inexpensive parts and really easy to replace. And so it's really not an issue. Just keep a set on hand. And then when that freak incident happens where it stops cleaning screens, you go make a couple adjustments. It's easier to work on than a car or anything else like that. So
awesome.
Justin's machine has the nifty handles that we added to it.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't need handles.
But both of your machines are pretty
That's cool.
nice.
And then when you're testing it's super clean. When you're testing your chemistry, you're just using like a throwaway pH strip that you'd get like at a pool supply store.
Yeah. In fact, we have like in the name of lean manufacturing, we have everything labeled. So you see like right here, we have labeled like the chemical we use for that bay, and then how much, and the same for here. And then if you come up here for the, we have like what the pH strip should look like, and we're cool. Always you can see like we have that all labeled so that there's never a question. This is what it should be, and I
might need photocopies of all that stuff, man. We'll start including it in these things. That's awesome.
Yeah,
the extra mile.
We'll sell it to you, no problem.
Sweet. I got $1. And Justin, you opened yours up. Did you want to kind of show us what each was inside of each one of these things? I think I lost your audio. So, there you are.
No, yeah, this first channel, I don't know what any of this stuff's called, but this is the one that like has I'll give you the technical names. The brushies. Yeah, these things right here. Those scrub the screens with this Hulk juice down here. You just load that up.
Your ink removing chemical.
Yeah, the ink removing chemical. Yeah, it goes through there, and then it comes into here and sprays more Hulk juice on it.
A PR emulsion removing chemical.
Yep. And then over here, this is where it sprays water on it and cleans screens. Pretty cool. It's a car wash. Like, it's not rocket surgery. There's a little bit of chemistry you got to pay attention to, but other than that, dude, it's easy. And yeah, we love it. It's a game changer for us. I'm like Brett. Like, I had a hard time twisting off. It took me 3 years to buy this machine. Like, I thought the first year that I wanted it, I was like, I'm going to go get it. And then I got cold feet, and then I found an alternative. Like, this was the hardest piece of equipment, like emotionally, for us to buy, for me, it didn't seem like it made a whole lot of sense. Like, it wasn't going to let us print faster or print more or do something cooler. It was just like, let's take the worst job in the print shop and second worst job in the print shop and make it a little, a lot better. And just thinking about the chemicals that you have to breathe, that you end up breathing when you're doing reclamation. Man, we've got vents in here, and there's a big vent up top. If you wanted to vent everything out of your whole shop, that option's there. And so we've been really impressed with it. We haven't done we literally have done zero maintenance since we've dropped it in. We've changed chemicals and we've cleaned a few things, but we haven't had anything break. We haven't had any kits. We're getting close to our 1 year, and I'm just going to do they offered a warranty, basically I don't know if it was through you guys or it was through Lotus Holland, but you basically you can prepay, and once a year they'll come out and replace all of the pieces that need to be replaced and basically take your machine. I mean, it's metal. It's stainless steel, aluminum. It's stainless steel, we found out. But they'll just basically replace all the things, and it might not look brand new like it does on the trade show floor, but what in a screen print shop does, And so
nothing.
It does its job really well.
And you said you had cold feet. It took you 3 years. I was there when you purchased this machine. You got cold feet that day too, but in a little bit different way. So what tipped you over the edge at that show? Like what made you say, okay, it's time? I mean, was it the quality of life for the people that were cleaning screens? Was that the main motivation? Was it the ROI? Was it a combination of all of that?
Ryan gave it to me at 50% off. That was part of it. So make sure if you're going to get one that you ask Ryan for a discount. Just kidding. No.
I swear to you, every time I ask Ryan for a discount, the price goes up. It's not a,
yes.
Yeah. Hey, this is the friend discount. It's $100,000 more.
For real. No, for us, it was a timing thing. And it was kind of like one of those, I know we need this. We're not, each year we get busier and busier, and like Brett, I saw that, our screen consumption was 100 per day. And then it was 125 and then 150. I was like, I don't see this thing going the other way.
Right.
And so it was just like, I can't think of a better time to do this. Let's make it happen. And then of course the whole, I call out Ryan, but really the whole team, the Ryonet team gave me a lot of confidence. I had friends there, the manufacturer. I had my friend Brett that had the same one. I had you guys. I just had this group of people around me saying, don't be dumb. It's time. You need to do this. It's going to be great. And I have no regrets.
No regrets.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it is cool. About a year ago, about 2 months ago, we formed ROQ US and are now, carrying and distributing this product through that entity, as well as servicing through it. And about a year ago, we worked with friends to start doing all of the installs, which I think has been awesome. I mean, when you get the manufacturer that engineered this thing to come out, put it in your shop, give you really good peace of mind, I think it goes a definite long ways to making you feel secure in that investment and what you're doing. So it's cool to hear that story.
This one time, Friends was installing Barrel Maker's machine, and he forgot to latch the pressure washer down, and they caught it on the security camera. It was hilarious. Because when you turn the machine on, the water was just spraying everywhere. It was going crazy. It was like a car wash gun. It was hilarious. And Friends was just freaking out.
Yeah,
great.
That's awesome.
So if you guys
actually, our install was hilarious. Not hilarious, kind of hilarious. We got everything dialed in, and we were using when we got the machine, we decided to use a different chemical than we normally used for emulsion remover, and it was a chemical that did not work well with our emulsion. So we put the first screen through, and we're all excited. We're going to see this fresh screen come out. That comes out just the ink's gone, but the emulsion is 100% still there because the ink or the emulsion stripper locked in our emulsion. So that was not awesome. But we drained that tank and put new emulsion stripper in, and everything was great.
So what chemistry are you guys using?
We use Easy Way. So
okay.
Yeah, we buy it through Ryonet, and
ROQ doesn't sell chemicals, so That's okay.
No, I know
Brett.
this is more just for the viewers to know like what chemicals you're using in your equipment.
Looks
This
like
isn't a
Justin-
product plug.
Looks like Justin.
You
is
can
still
say
using
whatever you
Saudi.
want.
Justin still uses Saudi. It looks like.
We've gone through several different chemicals. We've used a lot of Kiwo chemicals and used Saudi and used what is it? Is it Core Chem?
Mhm.
We've used a bunch of different chemicals, and it's hard, because like they all make amazing chemicals and great chemicals, and they're all really great people, and you want to work with everybody. But we've just found that what has worked best for us and our environment is Easy Way, and so we've used less chemistry with them than anybody else. So we save a lot of money on chemicals, and there's this kind of big over under, like some people say if you go auto reclaim, you use way more chemicals. And some people say if you go to auto reclaim, you use way less chemicals. And I think it's about the same, but it might be a little bit less. I feel like we can stretch chemicals a little bit longer because we're not just like spraying out an ambiguous amounts. We're spraying the same amount on every screen. So it's a lot more consistent.
When it's keeping it contained too, right? When we're using spray bottles, you're getting chemical that's just wasted all over the place from bouncing off the screen and going out into the atmosphere. So it's kind of nice having that containment. Sure. What are you using, Justin? Are you using Easy Way as well?
We use Easy Way as well. And we started with let's see, we had Saudi. No, what did you guys start us with?
Saudi.
You shipped us out. Yeah, so we started with Saudi, and it was great. And then we switched over to Easy Way. And so here, a few things, like, as most of you know, if you haven't figured it out at this point, most of everything in this industry comes down to relationship, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, a lot of this stuff does a lot of the same stuff. We have found with Easy Way that we really like the usage. Like Brett was saying, we tend to get more mileage out of our chemical stretch in this machine than we originally anticipated. I think that if you're really scientific and you want it to be like perfect and dialed, then yes, you should probably be changing your chemicals at some prescribed rate. But really for us, like we have weekly rhythms that we do. And when it's not working as well, the chemicals are the first. We look at the chemicals and then we look at the equipment, or the brush is failing or something not working right. And that was, I had a hard time, like Brett was saying as well. I couldn't get really a straight answer from anybody when it came time. For the 3 years I was doing my research to figure out which machine we were going to get, all of the chemical salespeople were like, oh, it's the way to go. And our stuff's the best. And then, Dane, Interchange, M&R, all of them had stuff to say about their machines. And it just came down to relationship. Like I trusted the Ryonet team. I trusted Brett. I trusted the reps that I had relationships with that we were buying chemicals from, and they all kind of coached me and guided me in the right direction. So yeah, you can tear off and do all this by yourself. And you can go faster that way. But if you want to go further, then, surround yourself with the team of people that can support you from the manufacturer standpoint, the distributor standpoint, like Ryonet, and then the chemical standpoint. You need to have a relationship with all three of those people.
And when you guys are talking about chemistry, just, this is a simple integrated, simple emulsion remover, nothing complicated, and nothing really changes between what you use in a manual process versus the automatic process, right?
Yeah, the most complicated chemical is the dihydrogen monoxide that we have to put into it regularly. That's water, H2O. There's nothing hard about this. I have my screen guy, like, we sat him down and we had our chemical rep, educate him a little bit. And then beyond that, like, we just have a recipe and we follow it. And the Ryonet squad, Phil gave us, Ross, I think it was you, gave us a whole sheet of all the things that we needed and how to properly care for our machine and the solution mixes. Yeah, for our chemicals. And it's been great.
Very cool.
That's awesome. So I told a chemistry joke once, but there wasn't a very good reaction. So Saudi makes some pretty awesome chemicals for screen printing. Your Lotus Holland screen reclaim machine will need 2 crucial chemicals at certain ratios to maximize performance. For optimal screen printing chemistry, we recommend using Saudi's IR26 ink remover and Saudi's ER2 emulsion remover. For these items and other expert supplies, please visit ROQ.us. That's ROQ.us. Or call 1-87-ROCKET-NOW. That's 1-877-674-8669. From an ROI standpoint, like, Brett, you've had your machine, obviously, you've almost got it paid off now. At what point, in that loan term, do you feel like the machine had already paid for itself in terms of like labor reduction, speed of getting screens out and cleaned? Have you calculated that out?
I think it was like 2 years, maybe even a little bit faster, because in the beginning we were able to kind of we basically had like one person reclaiming a full day and then another person reclaiming a half a day. And so we were able to get all of our screens reclaimed in a half a day now. So we cut out 8 labor hours. And if you multiply 8 labor hours by how many ever working days there are in a year, that's a lot of money. If you're able to 8 labor hours, let's say at $10 an hour or something, we're talking about $20-something thousand a year, $25,000 a year. So maybe plus, there's some other savings in there that you don't realize. So maybe it's 3 years. I don't know. Definitely two.
Before the loan was done, that's always a good place to be in. So you're making money before you've paid it off. And Justin, how did this change Mari's life in your shop?
Oh yeah, so Mari's my dude. He was our screen reclaimer, and we had him, and then we also often would have an auxiliary person that would come in on the weekends that would reclaim screens manually. And so when we automated, his goal was to clean between 100 and 150 screens per day by himself. And he would just do that all day. And that was his full-time job. And so now with Mari, not only, he spends half a day getting the same amount of screens done. We don't have to have people come in on the weekends. And now he works for half a day in here, and then he's on the production floor for the last half of the day to help everybody, land all of the jobs and get everything out the door. So we netted another employee back for the other half of the day. And he's, here at Oklahoma Shirt Company, we appreciate our swag. We like to drip when we're at work, and he drips a little harder than I do, and so he has an insane sneaker collection, and he got to start wearing his favorite sneakers to work, and that was everything for me, because he would have to wear crappy shoes or crappy clothes because he was getting blasted with stuff all day long, and so to have him really enjoying work and not going home wet or covered in he calls it emulsion, which is the funniest thing in the world. He's like, I just get covered in emulsion and I don't like it. And so it's been great. Mari loves it. And to add to what Brett was saying, traditionally, when you have, that screen reclamation position is typically kind of that first spot in the production floor where people start. And we've eliminated turnover in that position, which is super cool. And it's easy to cross train. And so there's instant savings in like training an employee and time and having 2 people, doing the same job for a little while. So we make money. I think the ROI for us, like we've already damn near made it back between culture and like mental health and even his physical health. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's been interesting, from a ROQ US standpoint over the last 2 months. Obviously, we're dealing with COVID right now, as everyone in the world is. And, you've got a lot of shops that have had to do reductions in force and pivot and get into mass printing and all sorts of different stuff. And it's almost kind of funny to me because I think a lot of people that have been on the fence about the Lotus have, let go of maybe those staff members and have gone back to that scrub brush, and we're getting calls. I need auto reclaim. Because you got these owners that are going back right into that world and then realizing, man, I should have done this a long time ago. And the folks that are getting them now, same kind of stories, it's just alleviating a lot of pain. It's making their production quicker. It eliminates that labor, and then they're able to rehire back into a different position and really get their production back up and going. So it's kind of cool to see you guys' stories resonate with, this kind of time that we're living in right now with everything kind of changing and shifting a little bit.
And
I would say you want to be
prior to your current staff. What were some of the challenges that you guys ran into when hiring for that position?
Here, hold on. What was your thought, Justin? And then Thomas doesn't have headphones on, so he couldn't hear you talking. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna add one more thing. Like, an automation in like an auto reclaimer is not for everybody. I think there's definitely an order of operations of when you get this piece of equipment. Like you need to have a couple of automatics, right? But when you start automation, you start on the production floor, and then you're going to move into the dark room. You need to be thinking about computer to screen before you go auto reclaimer. You need to be thinking about an auto coder before you go to auto reclaimer. You need to be thinking like those, that's my opinion. I don't get in a hurry. If you're a 1 or 2 automatic shop and you're burning screens off of films and your consumption is less than 50 screens a day, I don't think an auto reclaimer makes a whole lot of sense unless you want to be dialed like a one-man show and your profit margins are through the roof and you want to keep staffing as low as possible. Then yeah, we can talk about automation. But I think that was a hard part for me, was the timing. When I wanted it, it wasn't time. And then when I thought I needed it, it still wasn't time. And then when I finally got it, it was a little too late. I should have done it on year 2, but I don't know what the perfect configuration is. I don't know if it's an employee count, or I don't know if it's a machine or what it is, but just keep that in mind. There are more important pieces of equipment that will increase your profit margins or make your efficiency go up before an auto reclaimer will do that.
Cool.
I just wanted to throw that.
And then what was your question, Thomas?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Justin and Brett, what were some of the challenges that you guys ran into hiring before you have your current staff? So anytime you hire for that position, what were some of the challenges that you guys saw in filling it?
It's interesting because it ends up being kind of an entry-level position, but it's really not. It's really one of the most important jobs in the whole shop, right? If your screens aren't cleaned properly, it screws up everything else in production. And so getting someone that is meticulous and likes to be clean but is making a mess all day long is such a hard balance. In fact, I liken what we do to a restaurant a lot. I think that we're in the kitchen here right now. We're doing the dishes. And so that's probably a really great pool of people to hire from, especially because people that are doing the dishes at a restaurant work nights and they work weird shifts. And when they're trying to settle down with a family or whatever, working 8 to 5 at a print shop or whatever is maybe a lot better option for them. So going after that type of employee is a great thing to do. And then, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly a lot harder to convince someone to say, hey, come here, stand in front of this booth all day, spray a bunch of chemicals that you'll breathe in. And you're going to leave like you just saw the whale show at SeaWorld,
I've never seen the whale show at SeaWorld.
Are they hiring?
ROQ.US offers flexible finance options through your trusted lender CIT to help you purchase the equipment you need without a significant cash burden. We've specifically chosen to work with CIT because of their expertise in the screen printing industry and knowledge of the benefits of our equipment. With CIT, you're eligible for better rates, better terms, and better service than you might experience with other companies. To find out how easy it is to get your hands on a ROQ of your very own, please visit ROQ.US/pages/ROQ-automatic-financing. So I want to just start to kind of wrap this up. I just wanted to see if you guys had any key takeaways to just tell any of the folks out there watching, listening to this podcast, when it comes to auto reclaim, any specific pitfalls, takeaways, just something to think about, before they go to their next trade show, when and if that happens during all this craziness that we're living in. But obviously, people go out to those shows with wallets and they're burning holes in their pockets, and it's enticing. So what's the biggest takeaway that you can kind of give the audience just when they're thinking about automating auto reclaim?
Well, the one thing that I think we have two success stories here, but I've, being in this and seeing, through the Ryonet side, a lot of people get these. It is like cleaning the dishes, and I am a bad dish cleaner, so I put dirty dishes in the dishwasher. So it does not work when you do not clean the dish. You wipe off the dish before you put it in, and it's not like it is a piece of machinery. So like Justin said, he got an operating procedure and he followed that, and he's having a good success. So you got to do that. You can't just throw a screen full of ink into the Lotus and it's going to come out perfect. So I think that's the one thing is it is a piece of machine, just like screen printing press. You do need to make sure it's set up right and you're operating it right. You're taking care of it, and then it will work all the time for you. And it's been amazing to see people like Brett that have had these for 5+ years. And yeah, exactly.
So you're telling me you got to take your tape off first, start out your ink first, make sure you get everything out of there before it runs through that bad boy.
Yeah, you should be able to kind of see through the ink. I mean, for one thing, you're going to save money on ink because you're not going to waste globs of ink, but it's going to make everything work smoother. And, there's that whole saying, you can't polish a turd, you just get poop on your hands.
Good saying.
That soundbite. For the listeners at home, guys, can you explain what you just showed us on your screen real quick? Just describe what that looked like.
So like what, Brett?
No, you first.
Go ahead, Justin.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So we're going to scrape as much ink off of the screen as possible, like no globs of ink. It's going to look pretty clean right at already. So as soon as the ink remover hits the screen, it's just going to dissolve and be gone.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
What would you have said, Justin?
Very cool.
Just the same. Like this isn't a magical piece of equipment. Like there are brushes, and then there's like emulsion remover, and then there's water, and there's a power washer. So if you visualize cleaning a screen manually, this does all of the things for you. But the dishwasher analogy is perfect. If you take that plate that's got dried ass lasagna on it and put it in the dishwasher, when it's done, it's gonna have dried ass lasagna on it. And this is not a perfect piece of equipment. This is something that, it's equivalent kind of to a manual screen printing press. You could make a t-shirt with just a screen without a press, but the press sure does make it a billion times easier because you have a place to put the screen, you have micros, you have flat. So it just makes it a 1,000 times easier.
That's a great analogy.
Justin, I think you hit on something really great earlier. This machine, like you said, it's not for everybody. A lot of times we get calls in where people are asking, like, how many screens should we be doing to justify this? And honestly, when people start asking that question, I encourage them to look at what their business looks like internally. Like, are they in a state with really high minimum wage? Are they the ones that end up reclaiming on the weekends? Like, what does that actually look like? And what are some of the hidden costs that that maybe could justify this with less than 200 screens per day or less than 100 screens per day?
Yeah, they would, like I said earlier, it would just be about automation. So if some people want to have if I were to start over and do all this again, I don't know that I would have as many presses and as many people as I have. I would, if I moved to some state that wasn't full of screen printers, I probably would try to have a team of 10, and I would have 2 presses, and I might have one of these, right? Just because you grow, and we grow and grow and grow, scale, and you add people and you add people and you add equipment, and then you get to take a step back and look at it and say, we made a few good choices here, we made a few bad choices, but we're going to roll with the punches. And I think that that would be I'm glad we waited as long as we did to get this piece of equipment, because it is expensive, but when you think about it's what I believe, it was one of the things that made us truly graduate to professional screen printing. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to employ a bunch of people. I'm going to employ a bunch of full-time people. We're not fucking around. We need to do this. Right. And that was kind of just this, all right, are you going to do this kind of half-assed, or are you going to do this whole-ass? And I was like, well, it's time to get a whole-ass machine in here and gets his screen cleaned.
I love that. Love that.
I've unfortunately seen that whole ass. One other thing to consider is space. You know, it is 16 feet long. You know, it's pretty big, so you got to have a place to put it. And then one amazing thing is the fact that a lot of you out there that reclaim screens, you know the whole story of buying a pressure washer and it dies, and you buy a pressure washer and dies. We've had this machine for 5 years and have never even had to do maintenance to the pressure washer. So that's kind of a cool thing. Also, though, if you do buy the cheap pressure washers at home, here's a little tip. Go online to Amazon or whatever and buy a 30-minute timer for your pressure washer. And so whenever you plug it into this 30-minute timer, and in order to turn the pressure washer on, you turn on the timer. And then when you walk away and go home for the night or whatever, it turns the pressure washer off in 30 minutes. So it's not just running all night and burning out the motor.
Absolutely. Another good tip on that is buy the extended warranty. You know, that thing that we always say no to when we go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and they're like, do you want this extended warranty for $25? If you're getting one of the Home Depot or Lowe's pressure washers, buy the $25 warranty. Every time it goes out, keep the box, tape the receipt to the box, put it back in the box, take it to the service counter, and they will let you go get a new one. So another good tip there. Well, cool, guys. We'll get wrapped up here. I want to thank Brett at Printed Threads for your time, Justin, Oklahoma Shirt Company, for your time, and Ryan Moore at Ryonet for your time. Again, we talked about the Lotus Holland today. Appreciate all you guys. And come see us next week to learn about finance. ROQ.US products are available across North America with our distributing partners. Woohoo Screen Print Supplies, Northwest Graphics Supply Company, Lancer Group International, NorCal Screen Print Supply, Reese Supply Company, River City Graphics Supply, Ryonet, TubeLight, Vastex, Advanced Screen Print Supply, and InkTech. For more information, please visit ROQ.US, that's ROQ.US, or call 187-ROCKET-NOW. That's 1-877-674-8669. As always, thank you for spending time with us this week. Tune in next week or at your convenience on wherever you listen to your podcast by searching ROQ Shop Talk. That's ROQ Shop Talk. On our next show, we'll dive into the finance side of the business. If you'd like to join the live Zoom hangout or even request to be on the show, please visit ROQ.US/ROQ Shop Talk. That's ROQ.US/ROQ Shop Talk. If you found today's episode helpful, the greatest accolade we could ask for is for you to recommend it to a friend who you think may find it helpful as well. Please like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, rockers, press onward.